Hi, it's the M.L.M for the Soul Channel. I do have a new topic for today. Before I begin, I just would like to say, may the words and expressions of my mouth and the thoughts and meditations of my heart find favor and acceptance before you, Hashem, and people I thank have inspired me. Hope they can inspire you as well. We'll have links below this video to their sites. They're Rabbi Shalom Arish, Rabbi Lazer Brody, Rabbi Yosef Mizrahi, Rabbi Eli Mansour, Rabbi Lon Anavar, Rabbi Yuval Ovadia, Nisan Baruch Black, David Sachs. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. Rabbi Michael Skobach, Jews for Judaism, Rabbi David Asher, and Rabbi Ron Ruvain. As well, if you've never checked out this channel before, I will have a link below this video to my first video, which explains what M.L.M for the soul means, what it stands for, and what I'm doing. So this is in relation to the upcoming Parashat Shmini, and again, it's from the weekly Parashat Insights by Rabbi Eli Mansour. And I call this, preparation is very valuable. So Parashat Shmini begins with the events of what we would call the opening day in the Mishkan, when it first began operating, with Aaron and his sons serving as Kohanim and offering the sacrifices. Although this was the first day of the Mishkan's operation, the Torah refers to this day as Yom HaShmini, hence Parashat Shmini, the 8th day, because it was preceded by a 7-day process of preparation during which special rituals were performed to formally consecrate the Mishkan and the Kohanim. So Rav David Feinstein noted the significance of the fact that the Torah refers to this day as the 8th day. It might seem strange at first glance that a day so significant was marked at the beginning, the beginning of the regular service in the Mishkan would be described as the conclusion of a process rather than the beginning of a new era. The title 8th Day, Rav Feinstein commented, demonstrates the immense importance that the Torah affords to the preparation for mitzvot. The point being made is that this first day of the Mishkan's operation could not have been possible without the 7 preparatory days. That is why it was the 8th day, because the 7-day period of preparation was a vitally important, indispensable part of the process. So too often we neglect the process of preparing for mitzvot. This neglect is especially common when it comes to tefillah, which is prayer. So many times we arrive in the synagogue late or just before it begins, huffing and puffing, and then jumping right into prayer. And just to make a note, we're really referring to men, because women don't have an obligation, although they do pray and they don't have to be there like the men do. So we should endeavor to arrive in the synagogue at least a few minutes early so we can mentally prepare ourselves to communicate with our Creator. But if a woman does go, this would apply, I would think, as well. In fact, the Mishnah in Masechet Brachot tells that there used to be especially pious people who arrived a full hour early before the prayer in order to prepare. So while this is not practical for the vast majority of us, it shows us the importance of spending a few moments to prepare ourselves for prayer and for other mitzvot which we perform. The other issue too, and I've heard other rabbis say this, is like when you're, or read it somewhere, that when you're coming to shul, your mind is like elsewhere. Maybe you just were listening to something, on the radio. I don't do that, but maybe you're reading something that's not related, and so kind of you need to clear your mind of all that stuff. So it's good to take a few moments before you go into pray. Maybe do a little breathing exercise or something that'll kind of clear your mind of everything else that was in it before you started. That's just my own idea. There is also another aspect to this concept of the value of preparing for mitzvah. From the Torah's perspective, if a person prepared to do a mitzvah, which then did not materialize, he is nevertheless considered to have performed the mitzvah. Since preparing for a mitzvah is no less significant than the mitzvah itself, a person receives credit for a mitzvah he prepared to fulfill, even if circumstance eventually prevented him from actually fulfilling it. So that's the great thing about wanting to do a mitzvah, like it still counts even if you couldn't. So for example, if a woman arranged her schedule one day to allow her to attend a Torah class, doing everything she needed to get done ahead of time, but in the end she was called to pick up a child who was not feeling well in school, she gets credit for attending the class, and she made the preparations for the mitzvah. She is considered to have fulfilled despite the outcome. The Gemara in Masechet Brachot presents the text of a prayer which many have the custom to recite just before they leave the Beit Midrash after learning Torah. In this prayer, the student gives thanks to Hashem for granting him the privilege of spending his time learning, instead of being like those who engage in other pursuits. In one segment of this prayer, the person proclaims, "For we toil and they toil. We toil and receive reward, while they toil and do not receive reward." So the Chafetz Chaim raised the question, is it really true that other people toil without receiving a reward? We all know many people who do not learn Torah and who earn a great deal of money through their hard work. How can we say that they do not receive any reward through their toil? So the Chafetz Chaim explained this prayer to mean that we receive reward for the toil itself. irrespective of the outcome, whereas in all other pursuits, one receives reward only for the result. A salesman who spends a month traveling through the country trying to sell a product will not receive any money unless he succeeds in making sales. In Torah, however, we receive reward for the effort invested, even if in the end we do not understand. Sometimes yeshiva students spend hours trying to answer a certain question or trying to understand a difficult passage in one of the commentaries, but leave at the end of the day without a satisfactory explanation. They will receive reward for the effort they put in despite not ever arriving at the answer. So this is unique to Torah because the Torah values not only because the Torah not only values the end result, but also the entire process. The hard work invested in preparation for a mitzvah is immensely valuable, irrespective of the final outcome. So that's important to remember. If you want to do something, but for some reason you weren't able to, and you really wanted to, same thing with, let's say, giving tzedakah, and then all of a sudden something happened, you weren't able to do it, it counts. So that's the wonderful thing about spiritual pursuits, that it counts as opposed to other things where if you don't have an outcome. So the effort is what matters to Hashem most, more than anything. So, and I hope and pray that we will all put in the effort to do Hashem's will and to do mitzvot, and that we will all merit to live and see the coming of Mashiach speedily in our days and the rebuilding of our final and everlasting Beit HaMikdash. Amen, and thanks for watching.